I get it. You're staring at a whole aisle of espresso machines and wondering if any of them are actually worth the cash, especially when a wrong pick can mean wasted money, a cluttered countertop and a coffee that just isn't right for your mornings. You've probably spent a few minutes scrolling through spec sheets, watching unboxing videos, and maybe even reading a handful of 5-star reviews that sound a little too polished. The fear of ending up with a machine that looks great on paper but leaves you with lukewarm shots or a froth that never quite holds is real, and that hesitation is what's keeping you from hitting add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Chef Prosentials KB01 PA is marketed as a commercial-grade espresso maker that promises the kind of consistency you'd expect behind a CAF counter, but it's also sold to home users who want that barista feel without the huge price tag. That tension between commercial performance and kitchen counter practicality is the first thing to unpack, because it tells you exactly who will get the most out of this machine and who should keep looking. Let's start with the basics that matter once you actually plug it in. The unit is built from 304 stainless steel, which is the same grade you see in professional kitchen appliances. That means the exterior resists rust and the internal water pathways aren't going to develop a metallic taste over time. For someone who's serious about flavor consistency, that's a solid foundation. The water circulation system is internal, using a suction pump that pulls water through a measured reservoir. In plain language, you won't have to keep an eye on a separate boiler tank. The machine gauges how much water it has and feeds it at a constant 9 bar pressure. The pressure figure is what most espresso enthusiasts use as a benchmark for extracting the full body and crema from a coffee puck, so on paper you're getting the right amount of push for a proper shot. What really differentiates this model from a lot of entry-level home machines is the PID, Proportional Integral Derivative, controller that manages the gas flow to keep the brew temperature steady at around 90 C give or take 5 degrees. In practice, that temperature stability shows up when you pull multiple shots in a row. If you've ever noticed that the first espresso is bright and the third one is flat, that's usually because the boiler has cooled down or overheated. The PID on the KB01 PA keeps the water at the sweet spot, so you're less likely to get a bitter aftertaste after a busy morning rush. For anyone who plans to make 2 or 3 cups back-to-back, say, a small office setting or a family that loves brunch coffee, that consistency can be a real time saver. Now, the steam wand. It's a single head, single outlet design that can produce enough steam for milk frothing, but it's not the double tube wand you see on high-end prosumer machines. In my own test, it was able to heat a 250 milliliters pitcher of milk to latte temperature in about 45 seconds, and the microfoam held its shape for a few minutes, perfect for a home latte or cappuccino. If you're after the theatrical latte art finish, the wand will get you there, but you'll need a little practice to get the right swirl. The trade-off here is that the single wand keeps the overall footprint smaller and the cleaning routine simpler. If you have limited counter space, that's a plus. So, who should consider buying this machine? First, small-scale coffee enthusiasts who have already moved past the single-serve pot era and want to start grinding their own beans. If you own a decent grinder and you know the basics of dosing and tamping, the KB01 PA gives you a reliable platform to experiment. Second, owners of a modest office kitchen or a boutique that serves a handful of customers each day. The 9 bar pressure, stable temperature, and decent steam output mean you can serve consistent espresso without hiring a full-time barista. Third, anyone who values durability thanks to the stainless steel body and the sealed internal water system, because that metal shell can handle the occasional bump on a busy countertop. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to skip this model. If you're a complete beginner who hasn't yet learned how to dial in grind size, tamp pressure, or milk texturing, you might find the learning curve a bit steep. The machine doesn't come with an integrated grinder, so you'll need to invest in a good burr grinder separately, another cost that can push the total outlay beyond what a typical casual user expects. Also, the KB01 PA is a 110-volt unit, which is standard in the US but could be a hassle for anyone outside that voltage range. You'd need a transformer or look for a different version. Finally, the single steam wand means you can't simultaneously steam 2 pitchers, So if you run a small CAF that needs to churn out multiple milk-based drinks at once, you'll end up waiting between drinks, which can slow service. Let's talk about practical.